two, hello. Check. Check. Check, two. Hello. Hello, friends. Chin. Sorry, I forgot. That was rude. That was rude of me. You got a gummy bear? There we go, Lodane. You know what, Lodane? I don't want to make anything.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Hi, Rob. I finally tried the Rain Dreamsicle, and it's very good. Chin.
Longra, thank you so much. The 10 months of Prime. It is really good, isn't it? It is very good. Chin to you. You know, Lodane, I don't want to make anything weird here, okay? This is just totally a professional comment. I thought you looked very nice today. Yeah, I said it. I'm sorry the stream didn't work out, though. That seemed like it was disappointing. Okay, now I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I think. What do we think of the shirt? It's my first time wearing the shirt. It doesn't really make sense to wear this t-shirt with nothing over it. It's black and it just doesn't really look good on camera, I find. I like to wear brightly colored shirts. But I felt like today it was just and when I have something over, then it's okay. It works. But I thought today was a good day to bust it out. Very good day to bust this bad boy out. Brand new. Fresh out of the novelty t-shirt shops of the Pier in Old Orchard Beach, Maine. That's where I snagged this. It's pretty sick. Sometimes you do gotta hand it to him. We're gonna get into the Brandon stuff today. Okay? We'll get into the Brandon stuff today. Well, let's hang out a little bit first before we dive. I don't want to dive into things right away. We're going to get into this, though, I promise. Let's just hang out. Let's get the conversational juices flowing here. Joining the VJ Prashad ironic reactionary t-shirt crew. There we go. And we are personal friends. We call each other and coordinate these kind of things. VJ and I, in our weekly catch-up calls that we do. This is the kind of thing that we talk about. Just guys being dudes. This is the kind of the stuff we get into. Ketchup calls, that's right. And we also talk about chopped mac and cheese, which of course VJ Prashad is also in favor of. Of course. VJ, I'm going to wear the Brandon shirt. Wow, Rob, seriously? Okay? Wow. That's what he said. That is what he said. His darkness is transitory and insincere. I don't want to dive into the Brandon stuff right away. I need a couple minutes to just hang out first. But yes, we're gonna explore this. Believe me, there's a lot of unironic dark Brandon posting going on right now, and it's like, you know, I get it. I get it that it's exciting to see someone in the Democratic Party kind of starting to try and do some stuff. You know, maybe criticize people on the right. The bar is on the fucking floor, though, that this is what it takes to get people, like, excited. You know? Well, let's get to it in a little bit. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, Can't get fooled again. Please just give me at least 15, 20 minutes. Please just give me like 15, 20 minutes before we start diving into this, okay? I need a little bit, and we're gonna let the waves of audience members come in as well. Right? We don't want to give away the game too early here. Right? I have to wait for the hordes, the massive hordes of viewers to join the show before we start getting into that kind of subject matter. How was your mac and cheese? Tremendous. It's my favorite kind of boxed mac and cheese. It's President's Choice white cheddar. With chopped, obviously. Obviously chopped. With some pepper. Tremendous. Never fails. White cheddar is the superior cheddar. That's true. Horde member here clocking in. Good. Good. I'll try something a little bit different today. I did the We Live tweet from the TRRS Live Twitter account. I'm going to retweet it from my main account. Maybe that'll have some kind of impact. Maybe it'll have some kind of impact. Who knows? I got a box of Cheetos mac and cheese the other day, but I've been too scared to try. I haven't tried that either. I haven't tried it either. In the compound, we'll have pantries just full of the PC white mac and cheese. Obviously. Obviously. Look, it's affordable. It's cost effective. It's delicious. It's nutritious. That's just called smart planning. I've tried the Cheetos mac and cheese. Pretty mid, not bad. Kind of a middling review there. The powdered cheese chemical becomes horrifying when it expires. That is true. That is true. I wonder if they make like astronaut kind that just doesn't go bad. Are you calling my review mid? The review itself wasn't mid, but the content of the review indicated that the product you were reviewing was mid. Just to be clear, Orb Lady. The Southeast USA ruined all box Mac for me. How's that? Is it better? Is it superior down there? On the commune, the PC stands for People's Choice. Correct. Once we seize the President's Choice factories, we're going to change it. When we nationalize McDonald's and Walmart, Amazon, we will also be nationalizing President's Choice brand of like grocery store, and it's like a Canadian grocery store brand, President's Choice, but it's good. They make good stuff. Really good ice cream, a lot of good like frozen meals. The mac and cheese, of course, a lot of good stuff in that President's Choice line. We got to seize the means. We got to seize the President's Choice, the presidential palace. The cookies, yeah, of course. Those decadent chocolate chip. I know what I'm talking about. I know what you're talking about, Biggerwig. Those decadent chocolate chip. There we go. It's good stuff. Nationalize McDonald's and give them money for heart disease treatment. Well, just, you know, Healthcare will be free from cradle to grave in this situation. So I think the money from McDonald's should go to the people that work at McDonald's. Right? And just make sure that everyone has just cradle to grave world-class healthcare and education. And working at McDonald's, you should make like $30 an hour minimum. Better than compliments. Yeah, compliments is not good. As a child, I thought the no-name stuff was manufactured by the government. It just seemed obvious to me. Yeah, and it should be. Like, you were correct in imagining that, Eric, you know? That's how it should be. I could use a bag of those Decadents right now. Like Sean. Or some chips or something. I don't have a very good snack situation happening right now. We should see about importing the Bobo replacement brands Russia set up in place of all the American companies that left just to disrespect the bosses. Yeah, like the coffee bucks. Or whatever it is. Or they just turn the McDonald's logo sideways or whatever, and they're just like, fuck off then. Get out of here. How are you doing today? I don't know. Physically, I guess I'm feeling okay. Physically, I'm doing great. I'm improving. Physically. Anything I can do as a Canadian to put a few extra bucks in the West End's pockets, I'm happy to do it. Of course, they need all the help they can get. How's the brain? Brain real bad. That was kind of supposed to be implied. I didn't think I needed to spell it out. That'll dipshit. But the brain is not good. No. It's in fact bad. Bad brain gang. That's right. It honestly really does help me to come and sit down and do this. It really does. Brain not doing great. It's not a good situation. I don't know. Took too much kratom last night. Gave myself real bad brain. Uh-oh. Can you do too much? I've never done kratom. I thought that was supposed to help with the bad brain thing. You're saying it made the bad brain thing worse? But my back doesn't hurt. That's good. You know what? I'm really lucky, Metal Dipshit. Even though I have some physical problems, like I struggle with a lot of things. My back is still doing okay. I don't want to jinx it. But like for 39, generally my back is doing all right. Knees, not great. Feet, bad. Brain, bad. Lungs, like, am I in shape? No. Back still kind of doing okay. Not a lot of back pain. What's kratom even? I heard about it for the first time like 3 years ago. I don't know what it is. I don't totally know either. I remember the Street Fight guys talking about it a lot. He's just like me for real. I remember the Street Fight guys talking about kratom a lot and like pushing that. I don't know. I've never really tried it though. It's a plant, simulates opioid effects. Okay. That sounds all right. helps people recover. It has a built-in hangover, so you don't want to do it all the time. Of course, the government hates it, and some places outlaw it. Of course.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Where's McClout Robert? TRRS Rob Knife.
Knives. That's a very good usage of the emote as well. The classic Rob Knife emote. 12 entire months of Bezos bucks from Knives. Thank you, Knives. You should have noticed the effects of the cloud already. I don't know. I would message Lodane about that. Lodane does the HR department, so you should have definitely seen the effects of that already, though. Lodane, I realized I actually delegated that to Judy. I don't know if you'd be down for this, Lodane, but I think at some point we're going to have you come on to do a cameo on Insurgents as Judy. Do you think you could be a Judy? I think you could do it. I think we're going to have to make this happen sometime. Because I did... In fact, I'm going to play it for you guys, I think. We were back with... our first sort of public episode for Insurgents that we've done since Lucid a couple weeks ago. We had the thing with the scheduling problem with one guest. Jordan's been going away. I had COVID. No, it's not an overstep, Lodane. We'll get you in for a Judy cameo, okay? But it was our first public episode that we've done for a while, and we did one of the classic cold opens. And I often don't always put the effort into it, but I think I was really happy with the cold open that we did. Was getting the sound effects out. I don't know if anyone's got a chance to listen to it yet, but it's quite funny. Shout out to the Queen who just asked to switch places with me on the bench so her cigarette smoke wouldn't blow in my face. There we go. It's the little things. It's the little kindnesses. We love being considered by others. It's true. Hold on. So here's the new episode of The Insurgents, and I feel like I don't do this enough. But here's the new episode of The Insurgents. I would encourage everyone to go give that a listen or subscribe to The Insurgents if you haven't already. Here's the link. And you know what also helps is going and give it a heart. You know, and I don't feel like I galvanize this community enough to go onto those Insurgents, like the actual physical Substack page, and just give it a heart, you know, which helps. So I would recommend people subscribe to that. We talked with Andrew Perez of Lever News, and it was a fun episode. And I would actually I would like to play the intro because it's funny. And if you've never listened to this show and you've never heard one of these cold opens, I think it's kind of amusing. I remain impressed. Like Jordan and I are not like actors. You know, I had maybe some kind of ambitions to get into that kind of comedy writing and that kind of stuff, but neither Jordan or I can be qualified as that. But I remain, not to like toot our own horn or anything like that, I remain, I think, impressed with our ability that we've built this kind of like in-show universe about the Insurgents headquarters and everything. And we not every single episode, but we regularly do these like completely improvised cold opens. And I remain, I think, impressed at our ability to pull these off. Let's get Rob on SNL. Well, that's what we did when we did that episode where we talked to Donald Trump. We talked to Donald Trump, and that was an SNL cast member that we were mixing it up with. I love the inside jokes as well as making sure Ken is kept in check. There was one, Ken hasn't come on for a while, but that was another production flourish that I put in, I think the last time he was on, where we pretended that he was outside the office, and I put the sound of like tapping glass, and I gave Ken a voice like he was outside a door, and we were trying not to let him in. I really love doing that stuff, but I just wanted to play this for you. So please click on the link in the chat to go to the actual physical page and give it a little heart, and I'm going to check to see if anyone did it now, and if no one did, I'm going to be upset. No hearts. No more hearts. Still 2. Still 2. I did hear Jamie Foxx's Trump, Matt, and I'm more determined than ever to figure out a Trump impression. I've really been slacking for like 6 years. I haven't learned how to do a proper Trump impression. And I'm going to devote more time to this so I can really, you all know that I'm a master impersonator of different people. That one just still eludes me. I'm going to figure it out. Anyway, I just wanted to play you guys the cold open for this episode that we did with Andrew Perez. And again, it's a really good episode. I would encourage people to listen to the podcast and subscribe if you haven't. But I just wanted to play the cold open for you because it's really funny. Hey, Jordan, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. Just had something I wanted to check with you about. Do you want to join me for a little walk and talk here?
Yeah, let's
do a little walk and talk.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Here
we go.
What's on your mind?
Okay, well, something a little alarming and concerning happened earlier on Twitter. I was talking a little bit about Biden's student debt relief, the $10K student debt relief that they just announced.
Sounds.
And obviously, you know, I'm a big supporter of the Biden administration. I mean, everyone is aware of this about me, but I'm a little uncomfortable with some of this stuff. I feel like it's a little bit of a slap in the face to people that have paid student loans in the past, and it's going to cause inflation. I don't know if we can afford it. There's the deficit. All that stuff is I want to be a team player, but I find that a little troubling.
Yep, that's I agree entirely. Just the fact that anybody at any point in time has ever had to pay student loans back, I think that's a great reason for not canceling any debt. So I'm with you there.
That's just an unassailable argument, which I thought was going to be pretty non-controversial. But I had a couple of trolls in the comments to this tweet that I was doing, who wrote "this you," and they had a screenshot showing that the Insurgents LLC was a recipient of a fairly significant PPP loan from the beginning of the pandemic. I wasn't aware that we got that loan. Was that what was up? What was going on with that? Was that you or?
PPP loan.
Yeah.
When was this?
It was at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. If you'll recall, around the time shortly after we started the podcast.
Maybe I was just kind of fucking around on the website.
Okay. Imagine there has to be at least one person who paid off all their debt the day before Biden canceled it. Actually, one cool thing that's in this debt forgiveness thing, even though it's not enough debt that they're forgiving, if anyone paid loans over the last 2 years while it's been paused over the pandemic, you can get it reimbursed. So since 2020, anyone that's put any money towards their student loans, you can get that reimbursed with this forgiveness program that they're doing back to March 2020, which is pretty good. I mean, that's not so bad.
I got a bunch of money out of nowhere around then. That might have been it. But
all right.
Yes,
I don't remember any of that coming in. So.
I just kind of spent it on office supplies.
Oh, okay. So like pens, copier, paper, and it's more than they usually tell us we deserve. That kind of staplers, office supplies, that kind of stuff. Or
not exactly. So I got LaCroix. That's office supplies. We need that. We always need that. Everyone around the office has been saying we need more key lime LaCroix. And I'm always like, yeah, I agree. I'll get some. I hear that a lot around the office. So
yeah, I
definitely loaded up on that. So the 6 pallets of that. That's
what that is.
Those
in the
funds. Mm-hmm.
The loading dock there.
The jewel pods. The jewel pod storage closet.
Jewel pods. Okay. That's like the vaping stuff.
Yeah, I just figured. I see at least one guy around the office vaping, so I figured he should probably have some.
Okay.
Just I want to think of everyone, just whatever their needs are. So,
right. They are saying that.
V-Bucks,
like from Fortnite. Okay.
Oh, are those in Fortnite? I didn't know. I just saw they were at
right. Okay.
cash register at the store, and just figured we would probably someone around the office would probably need those. So I'm just thinking of things that people around the office would need.
Right. Okay. Well, it was a little bit alarming. It wasn't pleasant to be this viewed on Twitter. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but
never.
Not very cool. Did you at least get anything good with the V-Bucks? Any good skins or anything?
Yeah, that slam dunk emote that I like to use?
Yeah.
That was paid for by the government.
Okay. Well, you know what? I started off being kind of frustrated by this, but that's actually pretty cool.
It's pretty sick, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in the store since, and it was just kind of a
You got to nab those when they're there.
Yeah, you never know when they're going to be back in the store.
Still really enjoy that theme song. There we go. That's that. Whoop. I enjoyed that one. It was nice to get back to one of the classic cold opens. I always loved doing that shit with the sound effects and turning it into like a little radio play. I really enjoyed doing that. And again, once again, I'll just say, please head on over to the insurgents.substack.com with the link in the chat and just give it a little heart or give it a little subscribe in your podcast app. Okay? I feel like I don't do enough calls to action about this, but I don't know. It's a good podcast, I think. I think it's good. Anyway. Just wanted to play that for you guys. Is there new convoy news? I haven't heard any new convoy news. Really just discovering the links between Pierre Poilievre's campaign and some of the weirdos that were kind of involved in that movement. My co-host Tony got a PPP loan for his day job, but he said he couldn't figure out how to get them to forgive it. That's unfortunate too. I mean, that's the whole thing with like those loans where, people are saying, well, like they needed to give those PPP loans because all these businesses are being forced to shut down, and like they needed it. And like I'm sure that's true for a lot of businesses, restaurants and other places that were just forced to close or weren't able to do their basic, fulfill their basic function. But it was also just like a big transfer of wealth to very wealthy people that did not need loans. Like there's all these fucking rich Congress people, like people in the United States Congress getting loans for their businesses that they also have, which doesn't even make sense to me that is even legal. That there's people in Congress that have like small businesses on the side. That like doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, landlords. There's a lot of people, I think, who did not need loans at all. I saw like Tom Brady Tom Brady, like the multi-millionaire athlete, one of the most widely popular athletes ever in American history, extremely wealthy, was like getting a PPP loan. And I don't doubt that that during that process there was people that got it, that needed help. I generally think giving people money is good, but it does seem like it was at least a little bit regressive, some of that stuff with some of those people that are getting those loans. Literally very wealthy people just getting loans from the free money from the United States government. Like every single right-wing podcast somehow got forgiven loans. Like, it's pretty amazing. And these are the people calling people entitled. Exactly. It's pretty weird. And then they're literally complaining about, it's so, hypocrisy is just so, it's like you can almost feel it in the air. This idea that all these right-wing people, anytime the government does anything to like help anyone that's not wealthy, that's when they really want to talk about the bricklayers and the people changing old people's bedpans and the railroad workers. That's when they really want to talk about that. Anytime the government does anything that helps people that aren't small business owners or weapons contractors, that's when it becomes really important to talk about all the working class, the blue collar workers, the construction workers. That's when they really care about it. But again, when you're just funneling trillions of dollars into the pockets of the CEOs and shareholders of weapons manufacturers, just a completely nakedly corrupt system of just funneling money into the pockets of these weapons contractors, taxpayer funds. Lo and behold, we don't hear anything about these poor, beaten down, downtrodden, blue-collar workers. It's really funny because nurses go to college, and teachers, so do tradespeople. Famously, none of these folks have student debt. They can't explain why it's better that some monster bank cartel keeps $300 billion instead of your neighbors who actually spend it on shit. Yeah. And you forgive people's like loans. It's not like they're getting a $10K check from the government, but all of a sudden they've got more money each month. And people that are not wealthy don't squirrel away every single fucking dollar they get under their mattress like these miserly rich people who pinch every single fucking penny throughout their whole lives. When people have, all of a sudden I don't have to make $1,000 student loan payment this month. Well, I'm going to spend that in my local community. I'm going to go out to a restaurant. I'm going to go purchase a computer or some other item. And then money starts circulating into the economy instead of just going into these fucking massive multi-billion-dollar powerful bank cartels. Like, to be an RN is a 4-year degree, but those people don't know a single nurse in real life, so they don't know that. Yeah, they care really about working class people. That's why they complained incessantly about any fucking COVID restrictions and literally went and harassed nurses that were like trying to do their jobs. Those kids are going to buy so much avocado toast. And they should. They should buy the avocado toast. And when they do spend it, it's exclusively on horrible things that make the world worse. Exactly. We need to funnel money up to like fracking billionaires so they can fund like the Daily Wire media empire. That's what they're spending their money on. Giving 6-figure salaries, which they end up getting reimbursed through PPP loans to like the most fucking deranged reactionary freaks and losers. Melting your grandma and grandpa's brain on Facebook on a daily basis. That's what they're spending the money on. Some people are probably mad because the Fed is saying the inflation is demand driven, and this will increase demand, which means it will be longer before the Fed can change gears and cut rates and turn the money faucet back on. Well, and this is the whole fundamental economics 101 issue here when it comes to inflation and everything, right? It's like, no, it's actually better to put tax money into these bank cartels and weapons contractors. When you give it to people and they spend it, then the demand goes up and then the prices go up too. That's the Econ 101 mindset, which has been ruling and dominating, American and Canadian political thinking for like decades now. You give people too much money. If people have full employment, too many people have too much money, then there's demand. And then obviously, because if there's just this natural law of physics that happens, then prices go up after. You have to make sure that people are struggling. Make sure that not enough people have what they need. And when you just funnel it into the pockets of weapons contractors, it doesn't increase that inflation. Only when you give it to people that are going to use that money to buy stuff. That's when it's a problem. Hey, Rudy Prospero, what's up? Well, I love a commodity-driven culture where everything is based on purchasing products and all of these products continually exponentially growing in their sales and revenues and profits each and every year, year after year, forever, indefinitely. Love a commodity-driven culture where too much demand causes it to break down. Really, it really makes sense. It really makes a lot of sense. Great stuff. This is a great system. There's just no way we can ever have anything that's different than this. I love buying things and consuming content. Well, if you like buying things and consuming content, there's content right here. And I would encourage anyone watching this that likes to, if you want to stick it to the man by purchasing things, what you can do is subscribe to this very channel to support the content that I create here on this program that you're watching currently. And when you subscribe to this channel, I make a little bit of money, and then I take that money and I go to the grocery store, I go to the pharmacy, I buy food, I buy mostly food. I don't buy a lot of other things other than that, frankly, but like that's something. And it circles into the local economy. He's spending our money. He's increasing inflation.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, GMO Radio. I really appreciate that for the 2 gifted subs. Thank you, GMO. Very, very kind of you. No, I know it's what Americans think. I know. They believe economic stimulus is driving inflation. Yeah, there's a direct link between, at the beginning of the pandemic, we gave that child tax credit. We put some money in people's pockets. We got extra unemployment. I know that we had to support people during this global crisis, but unfortunately, it causes inflation. Can't do that. You can't give money to people. It causes inflation. You know what? Why doesn't someone just say, from this point on, here's a crazy radical idea. Economics 101 studiers hate this idea. How about someone just comes along, maybe even Brandon himself could do this, and just say, from now on, inflation is illegal. How about that? Just deflate it. And when people are raising their prices, you're the state. You own the police and you own the tanks and the bombs and all that stuff. And when people start raising prices, you just say, hey, stop that. Knock that off. Knock that off. The prices can only be here. And when they go here, that's a problem. How about that? What's that? Why can't we do that? Or like when housing is like completely out of control and no one can afford housing. No one can afford housing. And you just say, stop that. We're making housing lower pricing now. She had it right. I know exactly what this is. She was correct. I know exactly what this is.
weeks. You know what I don't fucking understand? This is why I don't understand.
She was right.
See this? See this? See that? This. This is worth $50? This is worth $5? This is the exact same piece of fucking plastic. This is the same thing. We made up these arbitrary numbers. And then we said, we can't print more or else it'll be worthless. How about just don't let it be worthless? How about just don't tell anybody? Or just like, don't let it happen. We literally made this up. This is a construct we made up. Just don't let it inflate. Just don't. Like, people, I get inflate, but I don't. Like, just don't let it, fuck. You let this happen. You let this happen. How about you just let everything else happen too? Why don't you just let stuff not inflate? Like, just deflate it.
Just deflate it. She was right. This one was invented by a colonialist. She was right. So many people made fun of this girl. So many people made fun of this TikTok. Oh, you don't know. I went to school for economics 101. That's ridiculous. Fuck you. You're ridiculous. How about that? If you went to school if you took the economics 101 class, I think you're ridiculous. Economics is not real. Okay? It's not real. It's a completely fake discipline. Yeah, and this is what we're dealing with. I get inflation, but I don't. Also iPhone, iWatch, Apple Watch. Come on. Astrology for capitalists is just preposterous. Why have we have been played for absolute fools. We have been played for absolute fools. These are the people that we let tell us about this stuff. Please add the word bourgeois when you say economics isn't real. Okay, well that's a good qualifier. That's a good qualifier. Just change everyone's number in the computer. How about that? You want to eliminate poverty? Just change the numbers in the computer, folks. Just change them. And when anyone has a problem with it, just say jail. How about that? If anyone's like, I'm going to have to raise my prices for all my products now, you just say, no, you don't. No, you do not. Why is that so hard? Why is that so difficult? I don't get it. Just deflate it. Seriously, I have to raise prices on my products now. But why? Why do you have to? Like, literally, demand is higher. People are purchasing more of your products. Therefore, you're making more profit. You're already benefiting from this. And you're saying, no. It's like a law of science that I need to benefit even more, exponentially more. You see, because I studied economics 101, it's a law of physics that it's not, I can't just profit more, I have to profit exponentially more. And when I get to a point where I'm not making as much profit as I should, the whole world just comes crashing to a halt. The whole world just ends when this happens. Where'd you get that shirt? I got this shirt on the pier in Old Orchard Beach, Maine, at one of the novelty t-shirt stores on the shore. It was a store on the shore of the beach. Thank you, Alana. A terrible place to sell seashells. Supply and demand, abstraction, and that's why some people have to starve. It's a supply side problem, but neoliberal states refuse to intervene in the supply side of the economy, so they make people poor instead. Yeah. Good system. Proper cup of coffee from a proper copper coffee pot. How about that? You're doing the she sells thing. How about that one? Fuck, I could have easily found when I went to the U.S. at the beginning of the month. I did see a house with a Let's Go Brandon flag in the Hamptons. Yeah. I saw a lot of those as well. Abstract knapsack straps. Why can I do that, but I say, like, buy it and stuff? That's so strange. It's so bizarre. The way my brain works or doesn't work. Best Twister. I've never seen this one before. I'm going to go in totally dry. She stood on the balcony, inexplicably mimicking him, hiccuping and amicably welcoming him home. No problem. No problem. Easy. Buy it, Quoke. You should lean into the buy it thing. It's part of the show culture now. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I realize that. Did you ever go to speech therapy? I also can do tongue twisters, but I have a residual stutter that comes up and flubs words now and then. No, it's never really been an issue for me. I think it's just a matter of like talking for a living and just talking all day. Talking for 4 hours a day about stuff. It's just inevitably I'm going to run into little bumps in the road there. Generally in my day-to-day life, I don't really have an issue. So you get tongue-tired instead of tongue-tied. There we go. There we go. Very nice. Excuse me. Where am I here? I got lost. Okay. Your brain runs too fast for us mortals. We'd never understand otherwise. That's exactly why I'm fueled every single day by rain. Total body fuel. Which gives me the caffeine burst and the mental clarity that I need to do this stream each and every day. And I'm pretty sure on the days when I say weird shit, like buy it quoke or whatever it is, it's probably days that I skip my rain. When I have rain, I have the sharpness and the mental clarity that I can easily and seamlessly transition from topic to topic completely clearly. They call him the cerebral assassin. That's correct. Hey, Doc, how's it going? How's it going? Florida is where Quoke comes to die. I haven't been to Florida in a long time. Haven't been to Florida in many years. I guess it's probably getting close to the time that maybe we just passed 1 hour in the stream. I guess it's getting to the point now. I said I needed a little bit of time to get into the Brandon discourse. I think I'm there. Brandon. The Brandon thing is just still so stupid and funny. Jesus. I get it's less funny now that you have like Democratic Party consultants probably putting together Brandon decks and PowerPoints and talking about the dark Brandon memes and doing it completely unironically. It's certainly less funny. But for some reason, still just calling President Joseph Robinette Biden Brandon is still funny to me. It's still amusing to me to say. I don't like boosting the dark Brandon meme because it reminds me of when The Onion had to apologize for portraying Biden as a kooky uncle figure during the Obama years and inadvertently helping his popularity. Seriously, like the Onion did so much to promote that image of Biden as like the aviators and the cars and drinking Keystone Light stuff, which made Biden kind of like funny and relatable, which he was never really like actually in real life, and really obscured his extremely reactionary record. Yeah, it is kind of the same thing. And now I'm seeing like people really kind of unironically talking about this. And I kind of understand it. It's kind of weird to see someone like Brandon or anyone that's been a long time sort of Democratic Party person, a long time, someone that's been deeply involved in the whole like neoliberal turn of the Democratic Party. I understand that it's like kind of interesting and weird to see that person kind of starting to do a couple things that help people, and also leaning into more like going on the attack against like the reactionary right, which Obama never did. He never once did. I'll take the last minute homework. Yeah, I mean, that's been the big narrative of over the last 2 years almost, is just how they were doing nothing, and now they're doing a couple of things. And these things are watered down Democratic Party means tested programs, but the bar is just so low that it's just so weird to see him like going on the attack this way, that people are getting really excited by it. So I kind of understand that to a certain extent, but I think I'm not going to go full unironic Brandon supporting, and I don't think anyone else should either. No matter what he's doing, it is helping a couple people. You know, I certainly don't deny that. This student debt relief thing, it doesn't really help anyone that's in six figures or like $200,000 worth of student debt, But there's a number of people that are like, wow, this is amazing. This is wiping out all the rest of my student loans. It's not nothing, you know? And I understand that it's exciting to see someone that's been in the Democratic Party for so long actually bucking that kind of economic consensus and also going on the attack. Wasn't Biden's rating in the toilet just a couple weeks ago? Yeah, it was completely underwater. And that's been the kind of amusing thing about the last couple of weeks is like, oh, lo and behold, when there actually looks like they're doing stuff, they're actually doing a few things to help people, and they're not like apologizing for it, and they're going after their political enemies and calling them out and naming and shaming them. Lo and behold, the approval rating is rising. I wonder if there's some kind of connection there. And if Brandon does, I don't believe that this will happen, but if Brandon did do weed next, which they can do without Congress, they can do it easily. Declassify weed as a Schedule 2 or whatever the definition is. If they did that next, like they will not get crushed in the coming elections. They may even like pick up some seats. You know, I would still pump the brakes though, on regardless of like saying, like, again, it's such a low bar. Regardless of any of this stuff that they're doing, that seems like it's moving in a positive direction in terms of the messaging, especially. Like, let's not lose sight. And I know people in the chat don't need to hear this, but let's not lose sight that Brandon is still overseeing like the most evil empire in all of like modern history. Right? Let's not lose sight of that. Even though there's been people trying to do the dark Brandon thing and saying like, oh, he's ending the forever wars, which you talked about. We talked about last week. Ryan Cooper was saying this. They're ending drone strikes. They're ending the forever wars. Well, no, they're not. They're literally starving people in Afghanistan right now. Millions of people, including kids. That's not based in cool, anti-imperialist dark Brandon ending the forever wars. They're doing drone strikes and military engagements in Syria right now, last night, against Iran-backed militias in Syria. Cuba just had this massive fuel explosion. What has the United States done to normalize relations with them or try to make it easier for Cuba to get back on its feet? Nothing. Nothing at all. There may be possibly going back into the Iran deal. Finally. Maybe that is one thing that is happening on a like foreign policy level that is good. But again, it's been 2 years of this, and who knows how long that's even going to last before some other reactionary just walks away from the deal again arbitrarily. Let's not lose sight of any of that when we talk about the dark Brandon going hog wild on all this stuff. You know? Because I see people, I think people are kind of working themselves into a shoot, to use wrestling terminology. Outrun knows what I'm talking about. And taking these undoubtedly good signs of like positive steps in the right direction, and kind of like uncritically, unironically doing the like Brandon support, which is like, I don't think that's so great. Didn't someone explicitly say it's hurting recruitment? Yeah, seriously, it's really spelling it out, isn't it? Really spelling it out. We need people to be in desperate poverty and completely snowed under with student debt, and that's how we recruit people for the military. Hello, Kadowaira. What's up? I hope you're well. Okay, thank you. Iran-backed is just made up to justify destroying Syrian civilian infrastructure. No, of course. And listen, the thing that we're not allowed to talk about when it comes to Syria is these whatever Iran-backed militias that are there. Iran was invited by the Syrian government into the country. And I know we're not allowed to recognize or acknowledge that the Syrian government is legitimate, but I'm sorry, that's the government of the country, whether people like it or not, in the United States foreign policy establishment. That's the legitimate government, not the like random extremist militias that the United States government has been arming and funding now for years and years, who invited Iran to come into their country to help them defend themselves from outside interference, who invited Russia into their country. We can talk about how Russia has bombed cities in Syria. We can talk, I mean, they have. The reality is they were invited into the country to do this. And I know we're not allowed to recognize that the Syrian government is legitimate, but it's the government
to
like
talk you through all this.
You can't just pretend that it's not just because you don't like it. It is. Yeah, and you've got America openly stealing their oil. Thank you, Ragdigen, for the gifted sub. Very kind of you. Thank you. And all the stuff about Iran-backed militias as well. It reminds me a lot of how, I mean, this is just how what you have to say to justify U.S. military intervention. It's been the same thing in Ukraine, right? For 10 years. They say the same thing. Well, when you bring this up, there's citizens in the, Donetsk, who have been getting bombed and shelled and terrorized by the Ukrainian government using weapons and funds and training that has come directly from the United States and Canada and Western imperialist powers, NATO. And when you point this out to people, they say, well, they're Russian-backed. They're these Russian-backed militants. And that's just supposed to be the end, the conversation terminating thought. Where it's like, well, we have to arm and fund them and train these militia groups because they're fighting these Russian-backed separatists. And that just like obscures the fact that there's real people. There's real people in eastern Ukraine, in the Donbass region, that are just real people, real civilians and individuals that have been getting bombed and terrorized by these weapons for the last 10 years. And we saw it right before this invasion kicked off, when Putin and when the Russian government recognized these breakaway republics. We watched the footage on RT, which was being like banned everywhere and that no one wanted to see. I mentioned at the time that I think it's good to like at least see that perspective. And they were talking to these people, these civilians, old people, not Russian-backed militia members, but civilians, real human beings who were like, thank you. Thank God that you've finally done this. And in fact, what took so long here? We've been 10 years now dealing with this. Why did it take so long? Like, they're real people. And you can't just say like, well, Russia backed, and that just justifies everything, right? It just justifies all the arms transfers, all the yeah, of course we're training these right-wing militias, yeah, but unfortunately that's just what we have to do because of these Russian-backed breakaway republics. And I'm sorry, but it's like, it's just a thing that we can say that just justifies our role in escalating all that. And it's the same thing like what we're seeing in Syria. Sorry, those are actually orcs, not people. That's the thing, though. They don't count. They don't count as people. They hate Syria because it was a bastion of resistance to Israel and refused to normalize relations with them. Just like Lebanon, a strong Israel requires a weak and unstable Syria. And they didn't try to break away until we installed a fascist puppet in Ukraine. That's it. And it's like, and it's just what we can just say that, and it just justifies everything. It's pretty preposterous. So that's what I mean. It's like, I would acknowledge that Brandon seems to have figured some stuff out over the last couple of weeks, both in terms of just like, hey, let's do the fucking bare minimum of a few things that are popular. That's going to increase our popularity. And let's also go on the offensive and talk about what the right is up to and how the right does not support any of these popular measures that we're trying to do. It does seem like they've figured a few things out with that. But I see a lot of people, I think, losing sight of like what America is about and how Brandon, whether the good cops or the bad cops are in charge of that empire, it's still the fucking evil empire. You know?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Let's go, Brandon.
Netlocked, thanks so much. 22 months of tier 1. I appreciate that, Netlocked. Thank you. Very cool. Very cool and chill. Anyway, maybe we can look at some of these Brandon clips now that I've kind of set the table with that. Wasn't one of the Clinton emails about how Al-Qaeda is on our side in Syria, not to mention the rest of the rebels the West support in Syria, and not just Syria. This is what America has been doing. Arming extremists. Arming extremist militias in Syria, in Libya, in Ukraine. This is what they're doing. It's the same thing. It's the same process. It's the same strategy. And it's not, no matter what cope people are trying to like tell themselves about Biden's foreign policy, it's the exact same fucking strategy, and it's continuing and expanding. While they're also pivoting to even more of a new Cold War with China and deliberately antagonizing China over Taiwan in the exact same way that they're deliberately antagonizing Russia, or were, over Ukraine. Super pissed at all these rubes on the left allowing Assadists to be used as a smear against dedicated anti-imperialists like Rania Khalek. No, it's so, I think, sad how people got pulled into that. And like, oh, of course I'm against American foreign policy, but in this case, we unfortunately have to support it because Assad is bad. Of course, I don't support American foreign policy, but Assad, so I guess we'll just have to continue arming these militias. And anyone that asks questions about that is an Assadist, of course. Oh, of course I don't support American foreign policy. Of course I'm a leftist. Of course I'm an anti-imperialist. But unfortunately, Putin bad though. So in this case, we do have to support them. We do have to continue supporting these right-wing militia groups. American foreign policy is always bad, except this next one. This is the good one. This is the one that we just have to support for some reason, you know? You know? Assad is killing his own people. Which, of course, never happens in the United States. But as I've said before, like, when it comes to Syria, like, in the Syrian civil war, horrible things happen in wars. And I don't doubt that Assad has done terrible things as part of the Syrian civil war, and civilians have died as a result. Or inviting the Russian government. Russia has flattened cities in Syria, which certainly civilians have been caught in the crossfire of. My question, though, when it comes to Syria, and this is coming up because Brandon is now like getting increasing military attacks in Syria against these Iran-backed militias. My question about Syria, similar to my question about Ukraine or any of these other examples, is when you deliberately provoke a conflict, and the United States did do that in Syria. The United States did deliberately provoke a civil war. You can't deliberately provoke a war as part of an intentional part of your geopolitical foreign policy strategy. You deliberately provoke a civil war, and then when people inevitably die, civilians in this war, and then you hold up your hands and go, oh, look at these barbarians. Oh my goodness. Like, that's the exact same strategy as what has been happening in Syria and Ukraine. It's the exact same thing. You deliberately provoke this conflict, and then you throw your hands up when people inevitably start dying in this conflict that you helped create. And you use that as an excuse for more intervention. Because Syrian man bad. Because Russian man bad. Because Libyan man bad. Because Chinese man bad. Because Venezuelan man bad. You know? When you deliberately provoke a civil war in another country halfway around the world for your own economic interests and your own geopolitical interests, the people that die in that war, the blood is not just on the hands of the people that are fighting in the war. It's on your hands as well. Which is something that people just fail to grasp. You know? They fail to grasp this. Juan Guaido is a good Venezuelan man. Not sure what you mean. They just put Juan Guaido in charge of everything. That's what I mean. We deliberately provoked the war in Ukraine as well. This is what I'm talking about. This is like, there's a really strong analogy between Syria and between Ukraine. And Libya is an example of this as well. But this was before the strategy really became apparent.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And they just leveled the whole fucking country. It's the exact, when it comes to Ukraine, when it comes to Syria and the whole like Assadist, Putinist thing, it's the same thing. You provoke the conflict deliberately, and the other side plays a role in that as well. But you deliberately pour gas on this fire for years or decades, arming and funding these extremist groups deliberately, intentionally to provoke a civil war. And then when inevitably the civil war really kicks off or escalates, you hold your hands up and just talk about how barbaric the people that are fighting the civil war are. And again, use it to justify more weapons transfers, more intervention, more sanctions. What is scam? You know, it's a fucking scam. Comrade Social Distancing, thank you so much for the 2 gifted subs. And for all the support you show in the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Anti-imperialist, but NATO good, actually. People are unironically saying this. Being pro-NATO is an indefensible position and just more proof why the label leftist is completely meaningless. We got pro-NATO leftists we're dealing with here. Or people that try to have this wiggle room. They try to do these like mental gymnastics. No, of course I'm against NATO. But it's just that in this situation, I happen to agree with everything that NATO says. That's all. Of course I'm against NATO. It's just in this situation, they're in the right. And we must support that. The Assadist claims are such BS, even Wikipedia had to take down Rania Khalek's smear-filled page. Or you've seen this with people like Aaron Mate as well, who have tried to debunk certain narratives about crimes that have been committed in this war and try to get to the bottom of what actually happened. And listen, again, like we've talked about with Ukraine, we know that the United States intelligence community and military establishment, this is part of their playbook, is provoking these things and also sometimes staging these things. There's a long history of them doing this. There's a long history of this. And it's not extremist to question sometimes when these highly public sort of atrocity porn stories come out about these kind of places, which are used to justify more hostility and more aggression. It's not extremist to ask critical questions about what actually happened in these situations, and just to not just wholeheartedly accept the narrative that is being presented by the Western media establishment and their backers in the arms manufacturing industry. It's not extremist to ask these kinds of questions. We know, if you know anything about the history of what organizations like the CIA have done, it would be foolish, I think, not to ask these kinds of critical questions. about these highly public human rights issues in these wars that have been deliberately and intentionally provoked by Western imperialism. This is kind of my basic point about we can talk about what Brandon is doing and how they seem to be like maybe finally starting to step over this extremely low bar of like a democratic president. But let's not lose sight of anything about the United Snake of Scamerica, as Moss World is saying. That's getting really like complex now. Even our good friend Zizek has called for a strong NATO. Pro-NATO leftist Slavoj Zizek. Unbelievable. Who many people still hold up as some kind of fucking authority on this stuff.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you for the 20 months of Tier 1 Talks to Wall. Thank you very much. It's crazy getting to see some of the numbers, the sub numbers getting up there. 20 months. I'm almost in year 3. How did that happen? Anyways, thank you, Talks to All. Okay, so we can take a look at some of the Brandon content now. Okay? Like one funny thing I think that is happening right now is like seeing the right freak out about these kind of like bare minimum neoliberal policies of just like doing a few small things to help people out, like forgiving $10,000 of student debt, which is a drop in the bucket of student debt in the United States, which is a multi-trillion-dollar behemoth. And you see the right completely freaking out about the fact that the Democratic Party is doing anything at all like this. And they keep creating this kind of content that just makes Brandon look cool. Here's this Ben Shapiro thing. They're basically doing their own dark Brandon content mills. Like they're making him look way, way cooler than he actually is. In their defense, they aren't used to their opposition actually doing anything for years. Yeah. And you can tell why they're freaking out now, because a few months ago, it looked like it was going to be just a complete cakewalk for the right to take back the Senate and take back the House. And then there'll be nothing going on. And then, of course, setting the stage for either Trump or DeSantis or whoever else to come in and just like go full fascist nightmare world. And I think they were feeling pretty comfortable in heading towards that future. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, you got Brandon doing some popular things that seems like it might prevent that, and they're just completely losing it. They're actually being they're actually standing up for themselves, and they're actually doing a few things that are popular with people.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Lol money minigun goes burr.
Thank you, Pathogen. Thank you very much. 4 months of Tier 1. Very much appreciated, Pathogen. Thank you. Democrats are mastermind in Stockholm Syndrome. Talked about the ACA for about a decade. It'll be the $10,000 for the next decade. And this is what I mean with the low bar. Like, there's people that have $200,000 student debt. But it's like, it's so out of the ordinary for them to do anything that it's like, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, here. This is crazy. Like, they keep making this shit. Brandon leading the non-binary legions to invade red states. Like, it would be cool if he did this. $200,000. I wish I only had that. Goddamn, Doc. That's so much fucking money. That is so much money. Like, and Brandon and persecuting his political opponents, persecuting Trump, going after these right-wing freaks and media people like Alex Jones and Gavin McInnes. You got armed agents of the state going after these people now. And while it's definitely enjoyable to see that kind of stuff happen to horrible people, people are fucking kidding themselves if they don't think that that's going to eventually be applied to others, people on the left. I mean, it's already being applied. Like Gavin McInnes is going to probably go and maybe get some high-profile trial, get his little slap on the wrist, while you've got Black Lives Matter activists getting just assassinated, just as openly assassinated by the state. So that's already going on. The 10 to 20K student debt relief is also going to ruin the cancel all student debt movement. Yeah, and exactly. It's like, and with any of this stuff as well, it's not addressing any of these systemic issues, right? Like when it comes to police violence. Of course, as we've discussed endlessly, when it comes to the issue of like police violence and the George Floyd protests and all that stuff, didn't result in any systemic changes whatsoever. In fact, it resulted in millions and millions of more dollars being funneled to the police. Literally the opposite of what these activists were begging for. But meanwhile, you have the Justice Department. You have the George Floyd's killer being locked up. You've got they're going after the Breonna Taylor cops, which is a good thing. It's not bad that they're doing that. They're actually going after some of these individual cases, but that's the problem, right? They're going after individual cases, and they're doing nothing about the broad systemic culture of police violence, which is there's still black men and others that are just being fucking murdered on the streets every single day, and nothing is being done about that systemic problem. But they point to these small amounts of progress, and they're going to be able to hold that up as an example of how they're solving these things, and a lot of people are going to believe that. You know, you can't resolve these individual cases. It's good that these fucking lying murderers that shot Breonna Taylor and then covered it up after are going to face some consequences for that. That's great. But that's not preventing anything about the next Breonna Taylor, which this shit happens every single day in the United States. And they're going to hold up all this stuff as examples of this kind of progress. And a lot of people are going to believe this. And you can see, look at that. Lo and behold, when Brandon does a couple of good things, look at that. I wonder if there's any relation. You see the switch starting to happen. And forgiving student debt does nothing for education costs or future debt. Yeah, well, that's it. And they're like, what? After the midterms, if someone else gets a student loan, they're not going to get any debt relief. It doesn't do anything about this student loan industry that exists. This predatory student loan industry. Here's more anti-Biden propaganda that makes him look cool. Like they keep creating this kind of stuff. And they think that this is like, all this right-wing propaganda that they're making right now about this is having the opposite effect and just making Brandon look cool and looking cooler than he is. China leading the world again by outlawing private tutors and education programs. Yeah, and we've seen over the last couple of years some of the reforms that they've made there to really like ensure that this predatory industry doesn't exist. And we looked at that video the other day about how student loans work in China and how it's like a very fair system and very affordable. And lo and behold, because of this fair and affordable system where people can get access to education easily, lo and behold, they're starting to completely crush it in like scientific research and development and all these important things. The SOCDEM equivalent of radlibs are very insufferable at the moment. Radicals cheering on the Democratic Party. And again, like, you can acknowledge that some positive things are happening. And should. And I think when we talk about the Democrats and the Republicans, there's a reason that the phrase, the lesser of two evils, exists. And when you say the lesser of two evils, you're acknowledging that they are both evil. But one of them is slightly less evil than the other. That's the reality. But like, that's still not something that I think people should be like starting to celebrate now. The fact that they've actually started to listen to a few activist groups, they've actually started to do a few things to help people, and that they're going on the offensive a little bit. Not to derail, but if you need a palate cleanser, someone dropped the Breitbart produced movie about Hunter Biden in the Discord. The whole movie or just the trailer? I actually did save that to take a look at that. China decided it wanted to crack down on kids dropping out of school, a problem in more rural areas, and went down by 99% in 1 year. Yeah. Lo and behold, when the government gets involved, the state gets involved in these systemic issues and doesn't just patch little band-aids over the fucking inevitable consequences of all this horrible predatory industries, lo and behold, it has a positive effect. And you have the Democratic Party now putting these kind of band-aids on, and people are just going wild for it. They're going hog wild for it. But like this, when you go into this right-wing propaganda, it's making Brandon look cool. It's making him look cool and appealing to people. And Lauren made this. This is not a real one, but I think it should be a real one. I think one of these right-wing media establishments should go with one of these. So let's look at. And again, he's all the caveats that I put in, that I mentioned, which we should never forget about. Yeah, Kamala cracked down on truancy as well by threatening to and locking the parents up. There we go. That's the American response to that kind of thing. We've placed all the caveats and talking about the unironic Brandon support. Nevertheless, though, it's true that I don't know what drug cocktail they've been pumping into this guy over the last couple of days. He looks more alive than he has in like 6 years or longer. Like, he looks more alive and aware and energetic and coherent than he has since like 2014, 2015. I don't know what they're pumping into this guy, but they got to keep that up. And he does. And when he is energized like that, he's got some zingers. He's got some good shit. It's undeniable.
Borrow money to buy a home, to be able to start businesses, to do the things that need to be done. And I found it absolutely fascinating that some of the
start that again.
Borrow money to buy a home, to be able to start businesses, to do the things that need to be done. And I found it absolutely fascinating that some of the folks who were talking about this is big spending are the same people that got $158,000 in PPP money, including what's her name? That woman who believes in anyway. A whole lot of Republicans who got a lot of money. The very people criticizing. So it's just not, I think it's a good thing It frees a lot of people up. It's going to grow the economy. We still have a way to go, but I'm optimistic. Mr. President. Borrow money.
I must admit that I do enjoy seeing Biden. Yeah, the most zooted world leader since Hitler. I must admit that I do kind of see him enjoying doing him the Mariah Carey, I don't know her. To like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know her. What's her name? Anyway, Jack. I mean, even the thing, the ways, I think there was a story, I saw a tweet how someone like called into one of these like, talk to Biden Q&A things and said, let's go Brandon at the end. And he was just like, yeah, let's go Brandon. That's right, Mac. And he's just so confident and unaware that the attacks mean nothing to him. It's like, that's enjoyable. I'm sorry. That is enjoyable. Have any press accidentally addressed him as President Brandon yet? I don't know. I'm not so sure. So let's take a look at this speech. And again, when I'm talking about Brandon being more alive and energized, I mean, I think this speech that he's doing now, he's really feeling himself. And again, I don't know what drug cocktail they got him on. He even looks physically younger. I think it's smooth Brandon as well. They're injecting with Botox or something. Some kind of B12 supplement, adrenochrome, meth. I don't know what it is, but they're giving this guy, the German blood doping transfusions that Kobe Bryant was getting. Something. You're supposed to be triggered. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Yeah, must be still going strong from the COVID-2 adrenochrome treatment. That's right. But anyway, when I'm talking about that kind of energy level, this speech I think is a good example of it. So I thought, I saw a couple of these clips, but I thought we could look at it on the stream and react to that. I love the conspiracy theory that the COVID diagnosis was covered for facelift recovery. I hadn't heard that, but I believe it. I hadn't heard it, but I believe it. And it's a way for them to just be like, COVID doesn't even affect me, Mac. He's better than ever. He's better than ever after getting COVID. What a coincidence. Really, since the COVID thing, that's when the Brandon mode was engaged, it seems like. So maybe there's something to that. Dark Brandon magic. Or maybe they're doing the freaky young blood thing the British royals do. Yeah, like the Peter Thiel thing. They're just giving him the blood transfusions of like young people or something. Anyway, we'll look at some of the clips from his speech in Maryland here. I don't know what they're giving this guy, but it's something. Something good, and I would like some, actually. Maybe Trump really had plastic surgery and replaced Biden. Oh, shit. Was it coincidence? COVID and raid the same week. Oh, my God. Yeah, I think there's something to that. The clone needed to mature a month or so after being hatched. Let's hear from Brandon.
Folks, we're just 76 days away from the midterm election. 76 days. And to state the obvious, there's a lot at stake. So I want to be crystal clear about what's on the ballot this year. Your right to choose is on the ballot this year. The Social Security you paid for from the time you had a job is on the ballot. The safety of your kids from gun violence is on the ballot. And it's not hyperbole. The very survival of our planet is on the ballot. Your right to vote is on the ballot. Even the democracy. Are you ready to fight for these things now? Well, then you need to do one thing. Vote. Vote. You got it.
Oh my God, they're chanting. Imagine being at a Brandon rally and chanting, vote, vote, vote. That's like the most on the nose thing ever. I don't think any of these things are on the ballot. Well, he's going to get into this as well, Red Scare, because they're doing the whole thing of like, if we pick up a few Senate seats, we're going to do even more stuff. And that I am extremely fucking dubious of. He's going to talk about all the things that they want to do. When we get another 2 seats in the Senate, we're going to codify Roe. We're going to do all this good stuff. We're going to codify abortion rights. We're going to do all that. We're going to keep going. That is extremely dubious to me. How do they keep selling it? And it's one of the things that helps them sell it is how nakedly evil conservatives are as well. It disappoints me from NATO Truth Warrior. First time chat from NATO Truth Warrior. It disappoints me most people don't even want to be independent from the world technological system. What happened? COINTELPRO and MKUltra brainwashing via TV. I implore all of you to read 4 Arguments for the Elimination of Television by Jerry Mander. It was published in 1978. It's the most snowflake capitalist millennials would never pick it up, but they should. They're living in the world it warned against. Okay. We're going to take a look at that. We're going to look into that. Thank you for sharing this this brave truth. We're going after TV, folks. We're going to ban TV, Mac. That would be a popular initiative. 4 Arguments for the Elimination of Television by Jerry Mander. Here's my question though about that is how am I going to see my stories? That would be my one question. When we're no longer being MKUltra'd by TV. How am I going to see my stories? MASH, etc. What if I want to watch MASH? Or another program. You just imagine it. You shouldn't watch television shows. The flicker rate is made to hurt you. Okay. But we don't use those old like tube TVs that they had in the 70s what they're talking about though, right? Isn't it different? The flicker rate? The flicker, you think it's like brainwashing people, hypnotizing people? I mean, I think the propaganda is brainwashing people. The relentless stream of propaganda, that's very harmful to people. The flicker rate though, that's interesting. The flicker rate is made to hurt you. Interesting. Because I have the mentality to withstand some technology. Okay, but what about I have that mentality as well? When the flicker rate tries to MKUltra me, I just say, no thank you. No thank you. That's what I say. I'm immune to that. I'm immune to the TV MKUltra. That's why I'm here right now. And in fact, my Twitch stream flicker rate is making people into communists and making them despise the United States of America. I've programmed Twitch to do a flicker rate that does the opposite. The problem is you can become cocky like you think you know, but technology is very strong. Technology do be very strong. That's true. That is true. We do be looking at our phones. They tried to MKUltra me, but I told them I'm already MK Sigma. They left me alone. The stream flicker rate optimized to achieve sub goals. Exactly. I just blinked really fast in the opposite rhythm to counteract the harmful flicker rate. That's just smart. That's just smart. We need to flicker rate MKUltra people to read black shirts and reds. This is what I'm trying to do here. This is what I'm trying to do on this very program. Historical materialism is grossly about identifying the most effective communist flicker rate. The truth is advertising agencies equals the animus of demons a la ancient world religions. That I do agree with. That I unironically do agree with that.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Look at what the flicker rate is making me do.
Thank you, Genki Horiguchi's Barber, for the 500 friend coin. And I'm sorry to MK Ultra with my subversive flicker rate.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I'm all flicked up. Thank you, John. Thank you, John McCade's Ghost, for the gifted sub. Very kind of you. Hello, Ainsley. Okay. Well, I think we can move on from this discussion. I think we've learned a lot over the last couple of minutes talking about this. We've learned some important and hard truths about what technology is doing to us. Obviously, we're immune to it, but our friends and family members aren't. We have to keep that in mind.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Kijiji Genie, for the gifted sub to Flicker Reel. Thank you. What's happening? I don't know. I don't know. Changing my flicker rate to 30 FPS so Rob can't mind control me anymore. Oh, fuck. Hold on, sorry. I'm going to go back to Brandon in a moment. I see people kind of trying to counteract my flicker rate mind control. So I just got to write a little bit of code here. Fuck. Come on. Okay. We're through the firewall. I just got to write a little bit here. You'll see in a moment, there's going to be a bunch of subs going to roll in. At least 5 people will subscribe. Once I change my Twitch flicker rate here. At least 5 people are going to subscribe in the next couple of minutes. Okay. Good. So I'm just gonna hang back and let those roll in. Any moment now, this is gonna start. The waves of subscriptions are gonna start to come in. Biden's brain is flickering at a worryingly low rate. That is true. That is true.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Switching to audio only to own the flicker rate. Damn it.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Just got back and Rob's a hacker now. Real Renaissance man. A Robissance man, if you will. That's right. Thank you very much, DRP, for the gifted sub. That's very kind of you, DRP. And thank you also to Amazing Bird Show. 17 months of Prime from Amazing Bird Show. Thank you both for completely coming to this decision to donate to the stream totally independently. I really appreciate that. And now we do have a hype train going, folks, as well, which is also something that I just hacked into existence.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Part Ian, for gifting a sub to NATO Truth Warrior.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, A Hot Meal, for the 7 months of Prime. Bezos Bucks. Thank you, Hot Meal. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Again, thank you both. Thank you to Part Ian and Hot Meal for completely independently coming to the decision to subscribe to this channel and support the stream.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Top Scruffy, thank you very, very much for the gifted sub to DVS Sicarius. Thank you, Top Scruffy. This chat just full of free-thinking individuals. No influence from me, any hacking, any flicker rate, MK Ultra stuff going on. None whatsoever. What was the flicker rate on the moon landing vids? That was some historic MK Ultra flicker rates going on with those. Kubrick knew all about flicker rates. He was trying to tell us. That's why Barry Lyndon was lit entirely with natural light. That's what that was about. Kubrick was trying to signal to us what was going on. That's why Barry Lyndon was lit entirely with
you can count on me.
Candles.
You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Anonymous Gifter, thanks for a gifted tier 1 sub. Thank you, Anonymous Gifter. Chat warning, do not look Rob in the eyes or mustache. Those are just the highest concentrations of flicker. That's where they get you. I'm 100% on NATO Truth Warrior's side now. Me too, yeah. I agree. I agree with all this. I agree with every single thing that's going on right now. Why do I have the urge to empty out my bank account to Rob? Simply because you enjoy the content that I create here and you want to independently come to the correct decision to support that financially. It's a totally normal thing to do, and it's a totally normal thing to believe. And I had nothing to do with it. Oh boy, we got this level 3 of this hype train, folks. Do we hear level 4? We got some pretty great emotes yesterday. Pretty great emotes from the old hype train. I'm just saying. And then once we're past this segment here, I will move on. We'll get back to Brandon. Excuse me, is this a pyramid scheme? No. I'm glad you asked, Lamport. It's a 2-dimensional triangular shaped clout distribution and friendship access system. Okay? Completely different. The best part about it, though, is that when you recruit members to come into the community, you get access to higher amounts of clout and friendship. And the more people that you bring into the community who also support it financially, the more clout and friendship you get in exchange. You know? Like if you gift 5 subscriptions to this channel, of course, that puts you as an elite member of the Friendship Triangle. When you get access to that kind of clout and friendship, affordable access to friendship, Dakadoon, thank you. But if you say gift 2 subs, but then recruit 5 members of your friends and family to join the community to subscribe themselves, you're even higher. You're even higher in that friendship tiered reward system. Once again, 2-dimensional. Can't stress that enough. Two-dimensional. Much like how aliens had nothing to do with anything you see on the History Channel, Rob had nothing to do with influencing those subs. No, people are just completely independently coming to the decision that they would like to financially support this channel and this content. And you do get the highly exclusive Enver's Hoja emote, which no one else has on this entire platform. Someone has to fill the hole that Tate left. Multi-level marketing, Rob. Let's go. But the thing is, what if I did that but good, though? For the powers of good. That's kind of what I'm talking about here. Commodified human interaction, and there's nothing wrong with that. Do we hear two more? Do we hear two more subs to get to 20 before moving on from this segment that we're doing here? Getting to 20 would be a nice round figure.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Oh, goodness. You're so close.
TRRS Momo mad.
Thank you, Torgo Saves. 4 months of Prime. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much, Torgo. I'm not even allowed to tell you what the benefits of a tier 3 subscription are. That's how good it is. You get access to benefits that we can't even mention. It opens up whole new doors and whole entire new avenues that we don't even talk about on the stream. Flicker rate. Thank you very much for everyone for contributing to the channel. Completely independently. Totally independently. There are things going on with Chup that you don't even want to know about. Or do you? I think maybe you do want to know. How do you get to different tiers? What do they do? Well, you can subscribe. If you become a tier 2 or 3 subscriber, there's different emotes that other people don't have access to, such as Mushrob, the classic Mushrob emote for tier 3 subscribers only. If you want to post an image of me in this chat or other chats, an image of teenaged Rob with a mushroom on his head, you get access to that by subscribing at tier 3. You also get, again, another highly exclusive sub emote, the Deng Xiaoping emote, only available for tier 3 subscribers. The Canadians have to stop gaslighting us about chopped mac and cheese. It's not real. I'll never believe it's real. And I certainly won't believe it's good. It is real, and it's spectacular. Really, the friendship triangle is a descriptive superstructure formed from the basis of this very community, which existed first. But now this concept of triangle and tiers is reflected back upon the base. Exactly. Exactly. Well, that's the thing, Ainsley. I mean, when you're a tier 1 subscriber, there's a lot of great emotes you have, but it's not everything. And in fact, I should do more. I should put more tier 2 and 3 emotes. I have more space and I just haven't done it. It's good. I fully endorse the Chup Mac. Thank you, Longra. I knew you'd have my back on this. I knew you'd have my back on this one. You know what? Throw some hot dogs in there as well. If you really want to get crazy. If you really want to get crazy, throw some hot dogs in there as well. We should do chatter emotes and biddy emotes too. Okay, Lodane, let's do a production meeting about that and we'll get that done, okay? How about that? There's a lot of stuff that I've been putting off. Throw some what? A dark Brandon emote. The thing is, I would like to put a dark Brandon emote, but at the same time, I'm leery about contributing to this. I'm leery about contributing to this meme about the Joe Biden and the fucking Democratic Party and pretending that they're good now. You know? I know it's funny to pretend. That's why it was funny, Dark Brandon, because like he wasn't doing those things. He wasn't doing anything good. I'm not going to sit here and like contribute to this meme of Brandon actually being good, regardless of whatever they've figured out over the last couple of weeks. Could do with the Xi. I do need to have a Xi Jinping. That's true. I'm going to put at least a tier 2 or 3 Xi Jinping. Oh, there we go. Actually, I do. I forgot. You got Xi Jinping in tier 2 already. I don't see how to upgrade my sub. Boomer Life is hard. You'll figure it out eventually, Ainsley. Maybe I know the Twitch mobile app is horrible, so you might need to be on desktop or something. I don't know. But I appreciate that you're looking into it. I do. I'm going to do more emotes. Why do I? Oh, fucking Christ. I always have a hard time navigating to this stuff. We need content, community, not insights. I always move this shit around. Viewer rewards, emotes. Let's see how much space I got here. First of all, I've got 5 open slots for standard emotes, free standard emotes, which I've not even touched. I have 4 more spaces for tier 1 emotes. And I got 1 more space for a tier 3 emote. I got 1 more space for a tier 3 and 4 more tier 1 spaces. So I got to work on that. Put in angles. I should put in angles. That's true. You know what? I've actually what I need to do is put in a couple more non-dude emotes, because right now I admit, I'm going to do some self-criticism here. Right now, my non-dude emotes, except for Lodane, the Lodane emote, my non-dude emotes are all like mocking women. There's the Meghan McCain crying. There's the lib woman crying. I've taken some criticism about this from people. So this is something I will work on, okay? I'll get some non-dude emotes that are not mocking the women that are being depicted. I know it's a problematic fave. I know. I'm working on these things. I'm working on overcoming my own inherent biases. All right? I'm working on this. I'm trying to engage in self-criticism. It's unread because you hate women. Not true. Not true at all. Where's Kira when you need her? Well, Kira has mentioned this to me a couple of times, and frankly, I admit, I will own up to this. I will admit that this is something that I could work on, and I will. Anyway, there's a couple more. There's more in the Discord.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Venchman, for the 3 months of tier 1. Thank you, Venchman. I really appreciate that. Women, please do not approach this man. I do look very scary there. I would have expected more from noted respecter of women, Rob Rousseau. I will do better, okay? I'm going to do better. I promise. I got 4 open slots for tier 1 emotes, and this is my pledge to you. This is my pledge to the community, including friend of the stream Kira Chats, that I will include at least 2 emotes, non-dude emotes that are not mocking the subject of the emotes. This is my pledge to the community right now. Okay? Anyway. Let's go back to Brandon now. We watched one Brandon clip like 30 minutes ago after trying to look at this speech. I got kind of derailed by brand new community member NATO Truth Warrior with some fucking legendary contributions, which I know we're going to be talking about Flickr rates a year from now, probably. Of course, an RBG memorial. Yes, absolutely. It would be great representation for women on this channel, a female VIP. Yeah, something we can consider. Something we can take a look at, maybe. At some point, we can have a conversation about that. Have to crunch the numbers, but you never know. That's right. Okay, let's get back to this Brandon's speech. Again, I'm skeptical about all this voting shit, about how the great things that they're going to do if they do manage to pick up seats in the Senate, which is starting to look likely. Like, it really is. We should unpack that. We're going to circle back. We're going to circle back on that subject. We're going to crunch the numbers. So it is looking increasingly likely that they'll pick up seats in the Senate. They may not hold the House, but again, if Brandon did weed next, they'll hold the House. Like, it's almost a no-brainer. If they did weed next, decriminalized weed, which they can do at the stroke of a pen, they will win they will probably pick up seats in the Senate in the midterms, and they will hold the House. Unpack this, women chatters. Oh my gosh. Motion to stop calling women females. We'll take that under advisement as well. Let's look at this next clip. And again, I regardless of all the caveats about Brandon and the Democratic Party, I enjoy him going after people like this. He's again, whatever drug cocktail they got him on, he's got quips right now. He's got lots of quips.
2020, you and 81 million Americans voted to save our democracy. That's why Donald Trump isn't just a former president. He is a defeated former president. And it's not hyperbole. Now you need to vote to literally save democracy again. 2020.
They're gonna be running on that one for a couple years, aren't they? It's lo and behold, in 2022, you're gonna be voting to save democracy. You're gonna be voting to save democracy and the planet in 2024. You're gonna be voting to save democracy and the planet in 2026 and 2028, etc., etc. They're going to be running on that for a while. Sounds like they don't think we have a democracy. It is a kind of fucked up democracy when you have to vote to like enshrine the possibility of having democratic input into the government every 2 years. That doesn't seem like a very efficient system. He's taking Hunter's drugs and he's never felt better. That's what I mean. He's been Hunter, break me off one of those rocks. Are you holding? You holding, Mac? What do I have to vote to save democracy again? I thought we just voted to save democracy. Again, it's just this ongoing process now. It's the flicker from Hunter's laptop. Hey, Mac, let me cut some smoke, G. Let me snorf up some of that pony boy. Vote for Chelsea Clinton if you want to preserve your spot in the FEMA camp. That was, I thought, another thing we could do. Talk about respecting women. We could take a look at Hillary and Chelsea's like Entertainment Weekly cover that they did. Democracy is a slow leak. It's got to be filled with new votes. That's right.
And the whole notion of the burn it all down politics of MAGA Republicans continues to be a drumbeat. But that's all. No. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go. That's okay.
Someone was saying, like, you stole the election. One of these MAGA people were like, you stole the election.
Folks, ignorance knows no boundaries. But we never gave up. We never gave in. And we're delivering for the American people now. And now, even our critics have been forced to acknowledge real progress.
So the volume levels are all over the place. I'm trying to keep on top of it. Let him go. Let him tell them the might of Dark Brandon's legions. Folks. He still does have more energy than I've seen him in literally years. And it's scuffed audio, Brandon. It's true. Maybe he has gone left. And we found new boundaries for ignorance. They said it couldn't be done. Mac.
NRA, and we beat them. We just passed the first significant gun safety legislation in 30 years in this country. And I promise you, we're not stopping here. I'm determined to ban assault weapons in this country. I did it once before, and we will do it again.
Again, that's a great democracy when you do one thing and then later on you have to do the same thing again. It's like, that's a sign that that's a healthy system that works. And I don't see any framework for banning assault weapons that's not going to result in more funds going to police and more power going to police. Either local police departments or like the FBI and these intelligence apparatuses. Are you gonna ban police from carrying assault weapons? Of course not. Of course not. You can only own 12,000 guns and only 11,000 can be loaded at any time. There we go. That's progress.
We're going to do it for those families in Buffalo, Uvalde, Newtown, El Paso, Parkland, Charleston, Las Vegas, Orlando. I've been to almost every one of those places to meet with those parents.
Mentioned a couple there. Maybe you should stop the FBI from going in and radicalizing people and MK Ultraing them using flicker rates to carry out mass shootings. How about that? You can talk about banning assault weapons, but maybe you should ban the MK Ultra mass shooter programming as well while you're doing that. Whatever combination of adrenochrome and speed they're giving him is great. I know, it's like, I want some of this shit. Give me some of this stuff.
Big Pharma won, but not this year. The American people won, and Big Pharma lost. Medicare now has the power to negotiate for lower prescription drug prices. Seniors will see their out-of-pocket costs for drugs limited to no more than $2,000 a year, no matter how many drugs they need take for cancer or other diseases. And for decades.
And so this is something that, because I know that this is part of the Inflation Reduction Act, and I think this is something that we talked about on the podcast this week with Andrew Perez from Lever News. And I think Big Pharma is actually freaking out about some of these things, which is a sign that there's actually some good things in this bill in terms of, making it slightly less evil, the system. Big Pharma is not happy about this bill, which is a sign that there's some actually positive things in there. the other side of that, the flip side to that coin, when they're probably going to talk about in this speech about the historic climate legislation that they're doing, the fossil fuel industry is ecstatic about the Inflation Reduction Act and the fact that it probably is the most significant climate legislation in United States history, which is an insanely low bar. But the fossil fuel industry is like over the moon about some of these things. Like they're giving money for renewals, and it's all connected to increased funding for domestic oil drilling and handouts to the fossil fuel industry. So I think there is some legitimate things in that bill that are okay, such as the drug prices stuff, and you can tell by Big Pharma running ads against it and being pissed off about it. The fossil fuel industry is thrilled with this. Dark Brandon, I just saw what happened to his buddy Shinzo Abe and got his act together. You know, one thing that we talked about last year, like, you know, more than last year, like when this was kind of really, when they were really starting to try to legislate, and how it really seemed like there was an element where they had, of the party, that had learned at least some lessons from the Obama administration. I would say, regardless of any of the caveats about Dark Brandon or any of the caveats about the Democratic Party, which I've made pains to emphasize today, I would say already it's more significant than Obama's first term. I think I could actually say that. I think Biden has gone in a direction and is like deliberately trying to avoid the fate of what happened to them, and is passing more significant legislation than what Obama did. Big Oil gets drilling rights over an area equivalent to the size of Michigan. I'm sure they're quite happy. Yeah, and again, I would encourage people to read, and I'll link it in the chat one more time. I would encourage people to listen to this interview we did today with Andrew Perez of Lever News, who talks about this extensively. Biden's getting worked up. Like, this is, again, they have this man on some powerful drugs. They're giving this man some powerful drugs. I don't know. It's hard to say. Obama seemed like he sometimes tried to avoid needlessly killing civilians. Brandon doesn't seem to mind. I don't know, though, Matt, because like even though we've talked about Brandon's foreign policy, they have toned down on a lot of the drone strikes that they were doing under Obama. I don't know. It's like Obama was responsible for a lot of civilian deaths in drone strikes. That's the Democrat way. Pass just enough to probably not lose too badly. Yeah, and Pathogen, like what they're doing now, they may actually avoid the outcome of getting rolled in the midterms. I hard disagree with that. You mean you disagree with Obama avoiding killing civilians? Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Although Brandon is also doing like we were talking about earlier, still provoking conflict in Ukraine and prolonging that and turning Ukraine into this bloody quagmire, provoking conflict in Syria as well. So it's not. I don't want to go so far as to say like, oh, he's better, or like they've ended the forever wars like some people are saying. Also overseeing and normalizing the mass death of COVID. Also a good point. Yeah. And Brandon as well, like you're pointing out, Matt, starving out Afghanistan right now. So like perhaps killing slightly fewer people with drone strikes, than killing slightly fewer people with drone strikes, but still turning Ukraine, like helping turn Ukraine into this fucking meat grinder. Syria as well. Plus COVID. normalizing the mass death of that. The border shit's still very ruthless. Still kids in cages. Drake voice gone on you with the pick and roll. Young Joey and Brandon mode. Anyway, here's Brandon getting super worked up. And again, I've not seen him like this in years.
That would have allowed anyone with diabetes, including those kids and their families, that get charged somewhere between $600 and $1,000 a month. How would you feel like being a parent, looking at your kid and knowing you didn't have the insurance, and knowing if they did not get that insulin, they may die? There's thousands of people in America going through that. And these Republicans ripped that out of the bill, but we're coming back.
And again, like, this is the fucking game too, right? I love to see the passion. I love to see the passion from Brandon. You know, great job. Brandon explicitly campaigned against Medicare for all. Right? You care so much about the ability of people to get health insurance, but yet the idea of just giving everyone universal single payer health care, that's completely off the table. And they're saying, yeah, we're going to go and do some stuff to may help insulin be more affordable. Why not go further than that? I love the yelling. I love the yelling and the passion. But you're not, as I was saying before, none of these systemic problems are being addressed. What he's talking about is applying Band-Aids to horrible systemic problems. And now they're talking about, oh yeah, when we get more Senate seats, then we're going to make it slightly more easier to get insurance or not get kicked off insurance or to be able to get insulin. You know? Why not go after the fight? If you're going to claim to be against big pharma and the big health insurance companies, then go after them for real. And have a single payer healthcare program like America should have had decades ago. You know, it's still half-assed. And the passion is great. The passion and the yelling is great, but he's still not proposing anything that's going to fundamentally go after these like systemic issues. Please, sir, can you change my material conditions? The U.S. has the means to produce its own drugs easily. Won't even be 1% of the budget. Yeah, and of course, but the idea that the state could ever be involved in that is just completely off the table. For Brandon and for the conservatives. All completely off the table. It wouldn't be fair to Bo to get cancer treatment for everyone. That's right. It wouldn't be fair to the people that died of cancer to have single payer. Fellow patriots, I have intel that I start my communist liberal community college on Monday, so I'll be less frequent with my intel because these commies want to cramp my style. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, coal mine. You're always welcome. And I know you're getting a higher education, but make sure you watch that flicker rate when they show video clips in class, because that's how they get you with the MK Ultra. That's my intel to you, sir. Community Zoomer, coal mine, one of the only Zoomers in this community. Eventually more Zoomers will discover this channel and think that I'm cool. Only coal mine is the one Zoomer that actually thinks that I'm cool. That's why I appreciate you, coal mine. That's why you will always be welcome here. Also, I'm majoring in journalism specifically because I want to do sports journalism, and I'll block the light. Very good. Very good idea. Bolden Erasure, is Bolden a Zoomer as well? Okay. Anyway, that's what I mean though. I believe me, I love the passion. It's crazy. It's weird to see Brandon, you know, you going on the offensive and hooting and hollering like this and getting mad. I'm Gen X and I think you're cooler. Doesn't that matter? I mean, that matters too, Divinormous. You know, I appreciate that. You know, I do. It just matters much less. Press 1 if you were born. Bolden, you're born this century. I saw that tweet the other day, too, about how some Zoomers are calling the 90s the late 1900s. How's that? How does that make you feel? I grew up in the late 1900s. This is what Zoomers are saying now. Oh, my fucking God. Bolden, I'm sorry for erasing you, okay? I in fact, wasn't aware you're a Zoomer. You don't talk about it much. You're a little cagey about admitting that. I didn't mean to erase you, okay? I appreciate you too, Bolden. It's accurate. Yeah, I know it's technically accurate. I was born in 83. That's like almost the mid 1900s. Almost. That's the most doomer take I've ever heard. It's so horrible. If you could just ask all the younger members of your audience to identify themselves. That's a little bit creepy, isn't it? A little bit creepy. 1983 is basically the same as 1950. I mean, 1983 is closer to 1950 than it is to 2022. Oh. Oh. It's so weird to see Biden suddenly having a voice, even shouting with it, but still keeping one single facial expression during all of it. Well, that's because he's recovering from facelift surgery, as we've determined. He's smooth, Brandon. I was born in 2003. I went to university in 2003. Oh. Okay. Moving on.
We also included a provision that would have allowed anyone with diabetes, including those kids and their families, that should get charged somewhere between $600 and $1,000 a month. How would you feel like being a parent?
Didn't we already see
looking at
this?
your kid.
We saw this. Okay, and here's the thing. So I mentioned the climate bill, the whole Inflation Reduction Act and the climate stuff in there, and here's how Brandon's spinning it. And remember, the fossil fuel industry is thrilled by the Inflation Reduction Act. They're over the moon about this. Keep that in mind when he talks about how they've defeated the climate deniers and they're doing this historic legislation. The fossil fuel industry is thrilled by this legislation.
We also had to take on the climate deniers. And guess what? We beat them. We beat them. For decades, these climate deniers blocked any meaningful progress in dealing with climate crisis. But not this year. This year, the American people won and the climate deniers lost.
They didn't, though. That's the problem. They didn't.
And consequently, we're taking the most aggressive action to confront climate crisis ever. $368 billion. We created more than 1 million jobs. And it will help us triple our solar power, unleash American manufacturing to own the global market in electric cars.
Okay, so a couple things. $300-something billion. Great. What's the military budget? Does the United States military contribute anything to climate change? I think if you look into that, you'll see that it does. Yeah, everyone now you're going to be able to get a cheap electric car. There we go. No new infrastructure, no rail, massive handouts to the fossil fuel industry, opening up more domestic drilling opportunities for the fossil fuel industry. There's no such thing as a market-based solution to climate change. You know, it doesn't exist. It will never exist. And the $300 billion to where? And yet, again, there's stuff in this bill there's money for renewables, for renewable energy in this bill. More money than the United States government has probably ever invested in that kind of industry. But still, it's a watered-down climate bill that is that is a massive handout to the fossil fuel industry at the same time. The market will solve this. Just give it a little time. That's right. That's right. LaFrance was born in 1984 and he wants to make 1984 a reality in America. La China James. Unbelievable.
Guess what? You hear Republicans always talk about the deficit, right? About big spending Democrats. Well, guess what? When the last guy was president, he increased the debt by $2 trillion in tax cuts. Not a penny of it paid for, okay? Well, guess what we did? We reduced the deficit. The Inflation Reduction Act lowers the deficit by $300 billion over the next 10 years. And that's on top of the $350 billion I reduced the deficit last year and the $1.5 trillion reduced it this year. Guess what?
You love that deficit, folks. That motivates people. That gets people those kitchen table issues. Let me touch this black guy for some nice shots real quick. There we go. The deficit. This gets people really motivated. Oh, and here's the good versus bad Republicans bit as well.
The mainstream, it'll be dangerous in the governor's office. Well, you're absolutely right. And your current Republican governor, your Republican governor agrees with that. Just go check out what your Republican governor said about what's his opponent. So how extreme are these MAGA Republicans? Just take a look what happened since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. In red states after red state, there's a race to pass the most restrictive abortion limitations imaginable, even without exception, for rape or incest. But these MAGA Republicans won't stop there. They want a national ban. I
mean, it's not MAGA Republicans that are ending reproductive rights. It's mainstream Republicans, literally the Supreme Court justices that have been put in place by these nefarious organizations like the Federalist Society have been put in place for this exact express purpose. It's not this like random extremist sect of Republicans. It's literally every single Republican believes in this. Every single one. And he's trying to differentiate between the extremists and the radicals, the MAGA Republicans, and the sensible moderates, right? This is not some extremist thing. If it was, it wouldn't have passed with full support from the entire party. Every single one of them. Because the normal Republicans are his friends still, of course. Of course. It is the normies, and the normies are literally Christo-fascists now.
Pass a legislative national ban in the Congress. If the MAGA Republicans win control of the Congress, it won't matter where you live. Women won't have the right to choose anywhere. Anywhere. Let me tell you something. If they take it back and they try it and pass it, I will veto it. Next.
Cool.
The court, in its opinion, used the phrase that women have a right to vote and change this. Well, guess what? MAGA Republicans don't have a clue about the power of women.
And this I agree with.
Let me tell you something. They are about to find out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We're going to be seeing that clip for a long time. We're going to be seeing that clip in a variety of different contexts. Oh yeah. They're fucked around and they're about to find out. That is one thing though that I does seem like a real motivator for people, as cynical as it is. It does seem like the right kind of overplayed their hand here. And I think the fact that they have passed these incredibly restrictive laws about birth control and abortion and reproductive rights, that is going to motivate it, just as the people in the Democratic Party have been relying on tirelessly for decades. It will motivate people to go out and vote for the Democratic Party. You know, I do think they kind of overplayed their hand on that.
What's happened is
the good Republican stuff.
There are not many real Republicans anymore. By the way, your sitting governor, he's a Republican you can deal with. We disagree. No, I'm serious. But at least he's within the mainstream of the Republican Party. I respect conservative Republicans. I don't respect these MAGA Republicans. And folks,
and again, you kind of like seeing him go on the attack like this, but the differentiating between these two things, like especially when it comes to reproductive rights, 100% mainstream across the entire party. And yeah, he's talking about Hogan, Governor Hogan, it's Maryland, right? What's his views on on abortion? What's his views on reproductive rights? The idea of suggesting that there's still these like worthwhile Republicans that you can negotiate with is just completely fucking, that's just a fairy tale. So again, it's like you appreciate seeing the fire and him going on the offensive, but he's still kind of like protecting the conservative movement who have fully embraced all these ideals. Every one of them. Every Republican who steps out of line gets primaried by the MAGA horde. Yeah, that's the party. That is the party. That's the conservative movement in the United States.
everybody thinks I'm exaggerating when I say this, but they're coming after your Social Security as well. And you think I'm kidding?
Biden himself, when you talk about Social Security as well, has led efforts over the years, including in the Obama administration, to privatize Social Security. Biden himself has talked about this for a long time, privatizing Social Security. And it may have happened under the Obama administration if Bernie Sanders hadn't put his foot down and refused to allow them to make this big deal with Republicans about this. He wanted to do the 24-hour wait and parental permissions for abortions, and Hogan vetoed bill that expanded abortion access. Yeah, but he's one of those moderate, sensible, real conservative Republicans, not one of these dastardly MAGA Republicans. Safe to say the ship is sinking and they're just reorganizing the chairs. Didn't he literally brag about getting Social Security? He's been doing this his whole career.
But I'm not joking. Think about this. Think about what they're doing. And it's all there in black and white. He wants to require Congress to vote on the future of Social Security every 5 years. So, every 5 years, Congress can vote to change, cut, reduce, or entirely eliminate Social Security. How does that make you feel? Do you want to put your Social Security in the hands of Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene? I mean it. But it's not just Social Security. Senator Scott wants everything in the federal budget voted on de novo every 5 years it goes out of existence. That includes Medicare, veterans benefits, and everything else.
Yeah, remember when President My Boss tried to grand bargain Social Security in the second term? That's what I mean. And Biden was a big part of those negotiations, and literally Bernie Sanders was the only fucking person connected to the Democratic Party that was like, no, it's not happening. But at the same time, I do agree that dunking on Ted Cruz and MTG is funny.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Yo, what up?
A really chill guy. Thank you very much. 21 months of tier 1 from my friend, really chill guy. Thank you. We're going Brandon mode over here. We're going Brandon mode. And I'm doing my job, is what I get paid for from the Democratic Party establishment, telling people that watch this channel to vote for Joe Brandon and the Democratic Party. Vote blue no matter who. That's the point of this segment that I'm doing right now.
And then along comes Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. This is what they put this in writing.
Ron Johnson as well replaced Russ Feingold, who was the only Democrat in the Senate to vote against the Patriot Act in the early 2000s.
Now, this is their plan. He thinks 5 years is too long. I'm not joking. You think I'm making this up? He wants to put Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block every single year.
Dunking on MTG is good, but propping up Hogan and Romney type Republicans is also really bad. It gives the GOP legitimacy when it should have none. Yeah, what he should be doing is not only going after MTG and these MAGA Republicans, but like everyone in the Democratic Party refused to do during the Trump era, but tie those extremists together with the establishment of the party. And don't say, oh yeah, the regular, normal, moderate, conservative Republicans are good and these ones are bad, but saying they're all like this. They all agree with all these things. Tie together these wacko extremists with the entire party and stop trying to do them a fucking favor by differentiating between the two. Do Republicans do that when they talk about like AOC or whatever? Or they talk about AOC or Bernie being like these like radical leftist communists who want to fucking kill your grandparents? No, they say this is what the Democratic Party is. And they tell their base that this is what these wackos believe, and the entire Democratic Party believes in it as well. You know? What is the point of making this distinction? Why are you helping the Republican Party when you're supposed to be trying to fucking destroy them? Don't mention those pinko commies. It's a family show. I'm sorry to upset people. By the way, really chill guy, if you're still here, what do you think of this? I even had an appropriate outfit change today. I need a strong GOP so I don't have to forgive all the student debt. Exactly, because if you don't have a strong GOP, then we have way too much power, and then people are going to expect us to do way more than we've already been doing. And here's the part that I'm extremely dubious about as well.
My friends, we offer a starkly different version and vision of this country, a vision of a better America that's within our reach, that's within our hands, if we just vote. If we elect 2 more senators, we keep the House and Democrats, we're going to get a lot of unfinished business we're going to get done. Folks, look.
Is that true?
Roe v. Wade.
Is that true? Why don't they just... They have the Senate right now. Why don't you just codify Roe v. Wade right now? Which Democrat is against doing that? Which one? You have the Senate now. You should be able to do it right now, tomorrow. This is why I'm extremely dubious about this. Yeah, you had 60 and it got the ACA and everyone thrown out of their houses. It's always 2 senators away. I'm so fucking dubious about this. If you get 2 more senators, will you pack the courts? Yeah. What are you doing about that problem? Democrats trying to appeal to the common man, and media describes the common man as the average right winger. For some reason, they try to appeal to extremists and get their votes too. I think at the core of this problem is losing the working class to right wing and becoming the party of educated liberals and elites. Yeah, that is a big problem with the Democratic Party. And like they've tried to make outreach to like to labor, organized labor, and they've done a few little gestures in that direction, but nowhere near enough to like overturn the trajectory they've been on since the 80s. I'm extremely dubious about this. We're going to codify Roe. As soon as we get those 2 more senators, Mac, we're going to codify Roe. Codify it right now. Who is against it?
We'll ban assault weapons. We'll protect Social Security and Medicare. We'll pass universal pre-K. We'll restore the child care tax credit. We'll protect voting rights. We'll pass election reform and make sure no one ever has an opportunity to steal an election again.
I don't know. I just don't know. I think it's pretty fucking dubious. Yeah, and then the thing about packing the courts as well, like Blueberry, like you're mentioning, all of these great things that you're talking about. If you have two, even if Brandon is being 100% honest about this, that they get 2 more senators, and they're going to be able to do all these things. What is the extremely reactionary Supreme Court? Are they just going to say like, well, you got us? That's why those people are there. That's why that whole process has been in place over the last several decades of in forcing the court to take on this exact political characteristics. That's why it's there. So any of this legislation that they're talking about is not even a guarantee. Like, first of all, I think it's dubious, the idea that they would pass any of this stuff in the first place. But there's this reactionary Supreme Court that's in place, which they've proposed no plans to confront in any way. You know?
Anything tear America apart. I'll close with this. We're at a serious moment in our nation's history. The MAGA Republicans don't just threaten our personal rights and economic security. They're a threat to our very democracy. They refuse to accept the will of the people. They embrace political violence. They don't believe in democracy. This is why, in this moment, those of you who love this country, Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans, we must be stronger.
Mainstream Republicans.
And more committed to saving America than the MAGA Republicans are destroying America.
They're all the same people. They're the same people, Brandon.
We the people are the first words of our Constitution. And we the people will still determine the destiny of America. If we the people stand together, we will prevail as we the people. We just have to keep the faith. We just have to persevere. We just have to vote. Vote. Folks, we just have to remember who we are. We are the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. So let's get it done. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
He always ends with that one. He always, and yeah, the end, and that's liberalism to a T, isn't it? Amazing Bird Show. That's what makes liberals what they are. Their eternal faith in these crumbling institutions. Where are our troops, by the way? That's a good question. Who are we protecting them from? You're protecting them from Iranian-backed militias in Syria. Why are they in Syria? We don't know. I don't know. Yeah, and the semi-fascist. It's the MAGA Republicans that are semi-fascist. The entire United States government is fascist already, including the Democrats, including Brandon. That's kind of part of the problem, isn't it? Our troops are going to Africa to liberate gold. I mean, Uganda. Yeah. I don't know, folks. Like I said, I'm trying to take a nuanced view about some of this stuff. I think we can acknowledge that it seems like they've figured a few things out when it comes to messaging, when it comes to like enacting a few basic things that are popular to avoid the kind of outcome that was like seemed like it was inevitable. You can acknowledge that, but I think let's not go too far down the unironic Brandon support. I think I think we need to have a little bit more of a nuanced view of any of this stuff. Give you a half measure just to wet the bit. That's right. Really had to give us nothing for so long to make the tiny amount monumental. Well, that's what started us off talking about this, right? The bar is on the floor for like the Democratic Party to deliver things that actually like help people. And congratulations, I guess, to President Brandon for stepping over that bar and delivering a few half measures, a few watered down things to perhaps help a couple of people. And I don't think that's nothing, It's not nothing. People are being helped. Not enough people, but they are. I saw they were going back to they're talking about going back and enshrining DACA into law as well. Is the barbaric immigration system still in place? Yes. That will probably help some people as well. A few people. Nowhere near approaching the scope of the problems that are there. Like I was saying, everything that they're doing, and congratulations to them for actually fucking doing it, is applying this Band-Aid to these grotesque, structural, systemic problems. And I think people have to be very, very sort of clear-eyed about that. And not go too far down this unironic Brandon support. It's not a bar, but a step to a better future, Mac. Listen, folks, there's probably more we can get into. I'm coming up on this is my first 3-hour stream that I've done since I got COVID the other week. It's the first 3-hour stream in a couple weeks. And I do have to get going soon. I think I'm going to order some Pizza Hut and eat pizza. I would just like to remind you one more time that if you want to support this content, if you want to support this channel and the work that I do on this program, please subscribe to the channel. For $5 a month, you can gift subscriptions as well. You can gift friend coin. Every little bit helps. This was also my first 5 days.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Oh boy, we got a raid, folks. We got a raid. We got Left Flank Vets with the raid. Thank you, Left Flank Vets. Let's see some knife robs, so none of these chatters get any ideas about anything. But any kind of hostile takeover. We can't do the liquor anymore? What happened with that? What happened with that? They took my candy liquor. Oh, no.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I didn't report it. I didn't report the candy liquor emote. That's not true. That was a bit. That was a bit we were doing where I pretended to be upset about the candy liquor. And it was a humorous bit that we were doing, and that's all. Oh. Dark Robert. How about that? That could be a thing. First they came for the candy liquor emotes, but I wasn't a candy liquor, so I did nothing. I believe you, and I just got here. Thank you, Pow Pow. I appreciate that. Anyways, folks, I do have to get going fairly soon. I know you just got here, but I do have to get going fairly soon. I got to go have dinner and everything. It's my first...
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Oh my gosh. Red Wine TRRS. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. So kind of you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And if anyone else wants to subscribe, I was doing my last pitch before I ended the stream. If anyone else does want to subscribe. Oh, yeah, by the way, Left Flank Vets, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Is this worth a sub? Is this worth a Prime sub or a gifted sub? Right? I'm buying outfits specifically for my Twitch stream. This man nearly died and is starving. Thank you, Red Wine TRRS. That's true. Thank you. I nearly died for this content.
Count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Sean, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Sean, I appreciate your messages that you've been sending about how being part of this community it positively influences your mental health. I'm unironically very happy to hear that, and I'm very happy to have you in the community, sir. Going outfit shopping for better content. It's absolutely right. I do that. I do that. I didn't say do. Not true. Anyway, so Left Flank Vets, everyone just got... By the way, I didn't even introduce myself or anything. If you're still here from the raid, I am Rob. You might know me from Twitter. You might know me from the Insurgents podcast, of which there's a brand new episode that just came out today with Andrew Perez. Very good episode. I would encourage people to subscribe to that. And also, if you can, I mentioned this up front. Here's one more call to action about this. Go and give it a heart. Go just click the link. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe. But just click the little heart button. Just click the little heart button. That's all. That's something you can do that helps. But listen to the episode as well because it's a really good one. Baited into saying doo-doo. God damn it. Anyway, we got another minute for anyone to subscribe if you want to. Do we hear 30? Do we hear 30 subs? That's only 2 more. That's barely anything. Folks, you could lose $5 in your couch cushions, most of you, and you wouldn't even notice. Admit it. You wouldn't even notice. You wouldn't even notice that it was gone. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing this out there.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Give it up for Part Ian, everybody. Part Ian. Thank you very much, Part Ian.
You can count on me. You're going to have good
very,
old
very kind
Rob
of you
to talk you through all this.
And Goth Engels Sinner as well. Thank you for the gifted sub.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Red Wine Terroirist. That's so kind of you. 6 gifted subs, which I think you agreed to when it was still not even at the sub goal yet. Now I feel guilty, like I scammed you, but I must say I really appreciate the support from you, Red Wine Terroirist, and from everybody who watches the stream. It really means a lot. It's been a great first full week. This is my first full week back streaming. If you'll recall, I know the streams were a little bit shorter. You forced my hand, but I love you for it. Thanks for all you do, Robin. You're wonderful chatters. I thank you very much, Red Wine Terrorist.
Use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
And thank you, Frank Dresser, as well, for the 100 friend coin. It was my first full week back streaming. If you'll recall, they were shorter streams, but I did stream on Monday. I streamed on Tuesday. I streamed on Wednesday. I almost didn't too because I didn't sleep and was in a horrible mental state, and I still did. I streamed on Thursday, and I streamed on Friday. That's today. So I will be back next week. And on Tuesday, my kid does go back to school on Tuesday. So the stream will be returning to its more regular schedule on Tuesday. I should be around on Monday again for another kind of weird schedule day. Starting on Tuesday, I will be back doing this stream 12 Eastern, 1 a.m. Pyongyang time. That's 12 Eastern, 1 a.m. Pyongyang time. It's 12. Shit. I almost had a... Shit. Okay. I see that our friend Doc Hollywood just fired up the stream, so let's go and raid community member Doc Hollywood. Really wonderful streamer. Thank you, Carnova, as well. Happy to have you in the chat today. That should be good. Have a great weekend, everyone. If you want to get in touch with me, you can do so on Twitter, or you can join the Discord server. If you're not in the Discord server, what are you doing? What are you doing? Join the Discord server. It's really wonderful, and I think you should do that. So thanks again, everyone. Really great to hang out today and this week. Again, thanks for supporting me, and thanks for supporting the channel. And that's all. Okay? Let's raid Doc now. I'm going to go order some Pizza Hut. I'm very hungry. So take care. I'll talk to you on Monday. And once again, Tuesday, the stream will go back to its normal time slot. 12 o'clock Eastern, 1 a.m. Pyongyang time. Until then, this is your friend, especially people that are subscribed to the channel, Rob Rousseau, signing off. Goodbye.